All right, so section 5.5 is covering isosceles triangles. Just you remember, isosceles triangles are triangles where two of the sides of the triangle have the same length. Okay, so the directions here tell us to use our knowledge of isosceles triangles and equilateral triangles to find the missing measurements. So the missing measurements being x and y. So starting off, I'm just given this 140. The rest of the stuff I already filled in. So I'm just given this 140, and I'm asked to find these two things based off that. Well, I can go off it looking like this. Okay, so with 140 and then this angle right here, these two angles will make a linear pair. Okay, so they'll make a linear pair, which means that they're going to be supplementary to one of those. So I can subtract 140 from 180 and get that this is going to be 40 degrees. Hey, I can also then notice that this 40 degrees is opposite from one of my congruent sides. Okay, so remember, if the relationship between sides and angles, so if these two side lengths are equal, then the angles that are across from them are going to be equal. They're going to be congruent. Okay, so if this side length is congruent and that makes this angle 40, and this side length is congruent to that side length, then that'll make this other angle 40. So these two angles are now going to be 40 degrees. So now that I've got this angle and I've got this angle, but I need to find this angle. So I can use the triangle sum theorem, which states that the three angles in a triangle will equal to be 180. So I take 180 minus 40 plus 40 makes 80. So I'll get 100. So x is going to equal 100 degrees. So now I need to figure out the measure of y. Now there's two different ways that I could have looked about doing it. The way that I did was I just said that I know that this right here, this x is 100 degrees, and this right here is a vertical angle with this x. So that'll make this thing 100 degrees as well. And since again, if these two are congruent sides, that tells you that their angles have to be equal to each other. So I take 100 and subtract from 180 so that I wind up getting that both of these should be 40. So now that I know that if this is 40, I can subtract 180 from 40 to get my y, because this 40 and this y make a linear pair, just like down here. So that I would get that this y is equal to 140 degrees. I could also have said that this 140 and then this y right here classify as alternate interior angles. Okay, so since they classify as alternate interior angles, they would also be congruent to one another. So because they'd be congruent to one another, I would get that this one would be 140 just based off that relationship with that angle.